my final project, I did sort of a booklet of the 7 dimensions of wellness, and started off with familial. And pretty much growing up, I was never really very close to my family, but it's just me, my dad, my mom. I really don't know any of my extended family, but like most siblings, me and my brother tortured each other for the most part. And then we kind of just ignored each other, but now that we're in our adult lives, we actually get along fairly well, but we still mess around with each other. It's just strange seeing him as an actual person now, I guess, rather than just my little brother. But otherwise, my dog is pretty much my entire world, so put him under my family because he's been with me for the last 8 years or so, my entire adult life since going off to college. But the biggest thing I was realizing is that really people I work with has become my family, just because I spend the most time around them and pretty much know everything about each other's lives. And next is the social category. And pretty much I've had the main core group of people that have been my support ever since about preschool even, and through high school, middle school, after college, and then even up till a couple weeks ago we all hung out, just like always. So they're pretty much been the main source of my support the entire time. But one thing I did remember actually doing this project is that socially I was very introverted growing up, and I spent a lot of my time on MySpace and MSN Messenger, where I would go on every day and talk with people on there, and I had kind of an online group of support and friendship for a long time till I went off to college. And after college, of course, meet a lot of people, and I actually hung out with the traveling performers for quite a while and met some fun people and had some fun times. Went and did a bunch of shows with them and kind of worked backstage, but nothing real meaningful came from that. But I put this picture on there because I'm sure what happens to most of us throughout our lives. The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies, it comes from friends and loved ones, which is pretty much why I've stuck with my core group of friends here that I think probably will always be with me. But you have to go through those trials, I guess, and learn different lessons. Physical. Growing up, I was never really into exercise or working out, but after college, I definitely started working out more, and I got really into running. I would go do some of the fun runs, like the graffiti run and the rave run, and I ended up getting in pretty good shape. And I like this picture because exercise is the best stress reliever, which definitely is true. Like we talked about in a lot of the sections of this class, different ways to relieve stress, and it definitely helps with your mental state. But unfortunately, I developed exercise-induced allergies, which pretty much put an end to my running. I used to run like 3 to 4 times a week at least, but then one day my body decided it didn't want me to, so now every time I go for a run or do any sort of intense cardio workout, I pretty much have an allergic attack, and it's basically like having a really severe cold for the next 3 to 4 days. So that's pretty sad, but I can't do that anymore. So instead, to find other ways to stay in shape and definitely relieve stress, I've had to start different things. Like I took up skiing. I did weightlifting for a while, but didn't really get into it as much. But used to hang out at the gym, paintball. Be surprised how much of a workout that is outside. So a bunch of different things just to kind of help keep me from losing my mind and staying in shape. And next we go to mental, which is a fun topic. I have 2 different sections on here, but first of all, growing up I was always really tired, like excessively tired, and of course the doctors just said it was part of growing and normal stuff, but it got to the point in college where I couldn't even hardly drive and I couldn't stay awake. Anytime I go to sleep, I wake up and I just feel just as tired, if not worse, than before. So finally they made me go to a sleep doctor and the neurologist, and I had to do a bunch of different studies. It's kind of hard to see the pictures, but I had to do a sleep study where I was hooked up to all these different probes all night, all on my head and all over my body. And they pretty much diagnosed me with idiopathic hypersomnia, which basically is very similar to narcolepsy. And it's just something that happens in the brain where I don't get any rest, basically. Even though I sleep, I could sleep for 2 days straight and still not feel any better. But it definitely messes with my cognitive functioning to the point where I was forgetting basic words or losing track of time. A lot of stuff that really, it mentally was causing a problem, and I literally thought that I was just losing my mind for a while. So getting that diagnosis was definitely very exciting, I guess, that I knew that there actually was something wrong with me. I wasn't just going crazy. But to manage it, I have to take my amphetamines so that I can stay awake and actually function as a human instead of a zombie. But I did end up getting my tattoo on my wrist that is a symbol of that. And the other section of my mental is that in the last couple of years, actually, I became bulimic. When all of the testing was going on before they knew what was wrong with me with the idiopathic hypersomnia, they'd had me on a bunch of different medications. And one of them was actually used for anxiety, but it's also an appetite stimulant. And so I gained a lot of weight. And at my biggest, I was up to 125, which for me is a lot because I'm not that tall. But then after I became bulimic, I went down to 91 pounds. And the pictures aren't very good, but you can kind of see a difference how much. And this actually happened within like 2 or 3 months. I lost that much weight. And I had some pictures because I forgot about it until I was doing this project, but I realized that I was weighing myself multiple times a day when it was at my worst, and I didn't even think about it. I remember people at work would get on me like, why are you weighing yourself so much? And it just didn't even occur to me that I had a problem for quite a while. But the top picture, this is when I was at 97.5, and the bottom one's kind of hard to read, but that was at 93. But my lowest I did get down to was 91. So that's something that I've been kind of struggling with for a while, but I've definitely come a long way, and I've gotten a lot better in terms of managing that. So it's something I'm hopefully going to work on for quite a while. The vocational section, I have a lot to put on here actually. So I am a certified veterinary technician, and I have been for a couple of years, but that's pretty much all I've ever done is have jobs working with animals. I was a kennel tech originally when I first went to college, and then later I became a technician. But I thought it was kind of funny, the picture I have here I got from one of the magazines at work, that there's a story, where have all the techs gone? Just because it's not a very fun job, it definitely takes a toll on everything, actually, your mental, physical, emotional. Sounds like a fun job, but pretty much the burnout rate is after about 4 years. So on average, people work about 4 to 5 years as a tech, and then you have to quit because it's too much stress. And I put this on here, the veterinary technician oath, just because it's something I have to constantly remind myself of why I'm doing this job. But it says, I solemnly dedicate myself to aiding animals in society by providing excellent care and services for animals, by alleviating animal suffering, and by promoting public health. I accept my obligations to practice my profession conscientiously and with sensitivity, adhering to the profession's code of ethics and furthering my knowledge and competence through a commitment to lifelong learning. Don't really know about the lifelong learning part because I'm trying to get out of the field, but at least it just kind of puts in perspective for me the importance of it, and I have to remind myself what I'm doing and why I got started. But otherwise, the other part of the vocational section is all of the volunteer work that I used to do. Some of it I still do. Sorry, trying to get centered here. So, growing up in high school, one of the things actually that this kind of ties back with the social is being a very shy person and kind of introverted. We started doing a foster puppy program where we raised these foster puppies that would go on to become service dogs, canine companions for independence. And this is a picture of one of our puppies that we had. And up here, we got to take him to the bowling alley. So pretty much we had these dogs for a year, and anywhere that we went in public, they would come with us. And that really helped me open up and sort of come out of my shell, I guess, because I had to talk to people. They would come up and ask about the dogs, and that got me to open up more. So it definitely helped me become more open and, I guess, actually talk to people instead of just being my own little world. But otherwise, this picture is the internship that I did after I went to Belray to become a technician. And I went and actually did it at the CDC, Center for Disease Control. And that was a very interesting program for me. I learned a lot, and it definitely put things in perspective for me as far as research and kind of things that are going on behind the scenes that you don't really think about, how much it affects the community, actually, worldwide, everyone as a whole, the research that you do. But this down here is one of the things that I'm actually discovering that I am very passionate about. I think it kind of goes along with some of my highest values, is the Colorado Veterinary Medical Reserve Corps. And basically I had to go through some online training and take a bunch of tests, and I got my certification for emergency response. So if there's ever any disasters that go on, natural disasters, I can get called out, get deployed to go in and help go get the animals and bring them back and make sure that they're all taken care of. So that's something that's been really interesting, something I want to pursue probably in the future. Next, financial. This one's a relatively short section for me, but growing up, I pretty much had everything that I needed. My parents, I guess, were pretty well off, so I never had an issue with that. But when I went to college, I went down to Texas actually for my first year, and that was pretty much an eye-opener for me. I never realized what it was like to live in such a poor community, and for the people down there, the place that I was at, it was just normal for them. So this is a picture of the place I was supposed to be staying, where someone is coming through the roof. So it was a pretty poor area, and I actually ended up being homeless for a while, which put things in perspective for me as well. But then afterwards, I came back, and again, growing up college student, pretty poor, so I didn't even have a bed frame or anything for a while. I just kind of slept on the floor. But after a while, I started to get back on my feet and make some money. And of course, Murphy's Law. My dog got really sick, had to have an emergency surgery, which cost me several thousands of dollars, which by that time I had learned the importance of saving money. So thank goodness I was able to deal with that, but it definitely was a huge financial blow. But this picture, I just thought was kind of funny, about my financial aid bills and paying off student loans afterwards. And spiritual, again, kind of short, but I guess I'm not religious by any means. So spirituality, I kind of just went off some of the things that we talked about in the book, as far as nature and the importance of it and being connected to things like that, just because I've always enjoyed being outside, kind of grew up out there, spend a lot of time out there, and it definitely just makes you kind of feel close and gives an appreciation for the world and life in general. Wasn't really sure where to put these, but these are things that I have become very interested in as well. I guess I strongly believe in karma for sure, but this picture at the top is kind of hard to read, but it says, "I never sleep, I just dream," which I don't know if that's just a part of my idiopathic hypersomnia or what, but basically every time I'm asleep I'm dreaming, and I always remember it. So that's kind of an important part of my life as well. But as far as the future and what I see myself becoming, pretty much, I guess, the importance of it, just like we've talked about, finding what your values are, your highest values, and spirituality, physical, mental. I definitely am interested in things like the chakras and ways to release stress, meditation, stuff like that I think I would like to start working on. But as far as, future for myself, some of the things that I've worked on with the Medical Reserve Corps is the psychological first aid and just ways that really help people out that I think that's something that I want to get into and pursue.